Blog Talk Radio.
A sunset, like any great melting, heats a vibrant fire that blends. A sunset, like any great melting, heats a vibrant fire that blends wounded parts together in a magic show that transforms. Reminds you of a past where the sunrise woke your senses with rays and flares. You realize in between is a powerful social theater production that sent you through a powerful roller coaster journey, packed with friends, family, and strangers not so strange anymore. There, knowing, soon comes the answers from above, an open sky of wisdom of those who came before, those that cheered you on from the future, a moon that lights your eyes, knowing a rock is near by keeping you company, then a falling star, a dream worth claiming, appreciating and making your own. Like anything, it's done that fast, but you know you got it, and the celebration just might be a slumber away. Maybe, just maybe, the people dancing in your mind aren't that far away.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Speaking Poorly radio show. I'm your host, Anthony, and today we're going to be interviewing Russell from Sacramento, who lived on the streets for 16 years. We're waiting to connect him, and while we wait, I want to give a shout-out to Lewis Arthur with Veterans on Patrol, who's been going around Arizona finding homeless vets and helping them get off the streets. I want to give a shout-out to the 420 Social Club in Tucson, Arizona, offering people a safe place to medicate, get involved in different activities, and a place to hang out. I want to give a shout-out to La Andita Mexican restaurant in Tucson, Arizona, who's a family-owned restaurant, open for over 20 years, providing healthy, delicious, indigenous, and Mexican food to those who need it, offering a place where people can get together and talk about a whole bunch of issues, and in a lot of ways gives back to the Tucson community. I want to give a shout out to High Impact Wrestling, who is a local entertainment business that provides high-flying, hard-hitting, and acrobatic action to families and kids across this city, and definitely look up all of those things and let them know that you appreciate what they're doing. I want to give a shout-out to Michelle Ream with Community Supported Shelters Tucson, who's doing a grassroots project, now a non-profit, that's providing tiny homes to the homeless. So definitely reach out to her at Community Supported Shelters Tucson at gmail.com and let her know that you stand behind what she's doing. And let's get all of those help with all these projects to get people on the streets. Let's go ahead and see if Russell's here. And while we go ahead and see if we get Russell or anybody calling in, remember, we're brought to you by homelessnewsnow.com, a homeless media collective where we share pictures and information and ongoing products for the homeless. We're helping them to learn about journalism and blogging and getting involved with this. We have homeless activists running our social media page that share their grassroots programs on there and share the blogs of the homeless collective across the country. I want to give a shout out to Brian King with Homeless Ecoville. That's been a big help with homelessnewsnow.com and the Facebook page for over a year now. He's occupying the space outside of the Charleston, South Carolina, outside the courthouse, where they're raising money for a nonprofit, definitely a sustainable model. Let's go ahead and see if Russell's there again.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Hi, Russell. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, it just took me a second to get through. But
all right.
I made it.
No problem. I'm pretty good at talking, so, just gave a few updates and a few shout-outs. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so, I talked to Pastor Rasan and Joshua Collins the other day. I'm always talking with Lou Noble, and you know how I share a lot of the videos of what's going on, a lot of the news in California. Give me an update of what you've been up to in Sacramento.
Well, they've been still criminalizing a lot of our daily activities. The sitting and resting routine. I mean, they are cutting down the bushes and spraying Agent Purple by the millions of pounds to destroy the shrubbery and to poison any area where the homeless people might try to go live. That's what actually gave me the cancer that got me off the street, was them spraying the dioxin, millions of pounds of it, up and down on both sides of the freeway to destroy any chance of you growing any crops, because I was growing my own food, so I didn't have to be on government benefits. But they poisoned everything. Tanker truck with hoses, 32,000 pounds of dioxin at a time. But they're still doing it every day. Even today, I mean, I have pictures of it that I post as I catch them spraying every day. But that's just on what they're doing under the radar. What they're doing as far as the police, they're still taking people's stuff, shopping carts and all their personal tents, bedding, everything. They arrested more people down at the Capitol just the other night at the sleep-in. A few of our friends were taken away. They arrested over 100 people during that occupation. People were still going to trial.
I've seen that our masked friends out there on the internet called Anonymous have brought a lot of attention to it. And we definitely want to give them a shout-out for taking care of people on the streets with Op Safe Winter and Op Right to Rest and all the other things they do for accountability.
Right. And let me give a shout-out to Jessica Bartholow, who's my niece. She's a lawyer and a legislative advocate. She helped get the senators to actually decide to want to authorize the Senate Bill 628, the Right to Rest Act, or we wouldn't have even had that even try to be passed. And that's from the Western Center on Poverty and Law, or Law and Poverty, downtown Sacramento.
Mhm. And if for everybody that's listening, you'll see a picture of Jessica on the slideshow that shows during this broadcast. So definitely you know her name and you know more about her and you know what she's looked like. So shout out to Jessica. Tell me, give us more information on. Say that again.
I say that's the pictures of the Agent Purple that they have all over the side of the road that you see those pictures of the freeway.
Yeah.
That's added into the light show.
Tell us more. What is this Agent Purple for people that's not familiar with it?
Well, to put it in perspective, my brother went to Vietnam and they were sprayed with Agent Orange, dioxin, which people talk about Agent Orange syndrome, and the veterans weren't doing anything. They finally admitted that it was real, and so they changed the name because Agent Orange sounded threatening, like threat level orange. So they changed it to something friendly, like Agent Purple, like Barney, the purple dinosaur. Purple's friendly. So it's now Agent Purple instead of Agent Orange, and so we can sell it to California that they can use to get rid of the homeless by spraying throughout all the shrubbery, all the vacant lots, all up and down both sides of the freeway, everywhere that homeless people would normally go to live. And like I said, I lived 2 years in one spot growing my own food completely. I had over 1,000 different kind of plants there. It looked like a Garden of Eden. People would come and do tours just to walk through my camp from the neighborhood. It was that nice. And they destroyed it. It now looks like a moonscape. Nothing will ever grow there again. We were on the hummingbird migratory route. They had a nest in the tree outside of my window. Not anymore. Nothing lives there. The hawks are gone, raccoons, pheasant. There were some pheasant there. Raccoons, possums. Nothing lives there. Not even the mice or the rats. They poisoned everything.
So we're
and I got
talking,
cancer 2 weeks.
So
I got
we're
cancer
talking
2
about,
weeks after I touched it.
So in a
They gave me 1 month to live.
So in a big way, using this chemical agent purple is pretty much is kind of what we called a crime against humanity when we're accusing all of these dictators of using
genocide.
gases against their own people.
They are, because what they're doing is, this is part of the Georgia capstones and the push to reduce the population to 500 million and release the Zika virus to reduce the brain size. And this Agent Purple, it causes autism. The autism rates in the last couple of years since they started spraying up and down all these freeways has risen 800% here in Sacramento since they started spraying, with it blowing right onto people's next door neighbors and onto the lawns. It's killing the lawns next to the freeway. But we just pretend we don't notice that, because they told me the people of California wanted them to do that. But everybody I asked ever told me said no. Nobody ever asked them if they wanted to be doused with poison and have the dust blowing and getting asthma. Cancer was 1 in 10. It's now 1 in 3 along the freeways. Just since they started spraying.
Tell me this. Who is the mayor of Sacramento, and
Kevin Johnson,
is he responsible
and the city council
for it?
They are. The city council and Kevin Johnson, they are responsible for authorizing Caltrans to spend the money on poison to kill people, and have been. They've taken a secret oath to wipe out the homeless. They told me that they would do whatever it took to go around and chase us down and poison us, or whatever it took to arrest us and put us in jail and get us off the street, because they were in Oak Park. They were doing a major upgrade, and that was just 2 years ago, and that was all when all this started happening. Or it's a little bit longer than 2 years now, but that's when it was happening in 2013 and such, and a little before. That's when I was exposed.
And is this the same Kevin Johnson that's a retired NBA basketball player for the Phoenix Suns?
Right, the one who's been investigated for rape and pedophilia and underage women and all the corruption and things that he keeps paying off people and bribing and kind of arresting people and shutting them up whenever they try to ask him questions in city council, like he did this week and the week before.
And
I have a list of people who got arrested.
Wasn't he also a really big slumlord in the Sacramento area before becoming mayor?
Yes, he's the one that made all these economic, that when the collapse came, I watched all the houses in Oak Park all become vacant, all become boarded up. Over 2/3 of them were emptied as he came in and did his little economic voodoo, and that's when I started having problems. I was okay until that kind of thing started happening, and they started actively cracking down and saying that the Kevin Johnson had got on the police chief, who got on, and down it came, and shit rolls downhill, and we were at the bottom, and so it was all going to land on our heads. And then we had to get out of there so that they could show people around and say, this is where we're going to build these great big new things. I just went by the places where I lived 2 years ago, and I can't even recognize the place. They have built up and done so much stuff, and torn down all of the old family businesses, and it's all just people who are able to pay big money to Kevin Johnson. I mean, I was selling flowers and being arrested. I was arrested over 1,018 times for illegal sleeping and selling flowers on the side of the road. Yes, guy holding a cardboard sign with flowers on 12th and 99, that was me. For 15 years, I sold flowers there and was arrested 1,018 times over 15 years.
Wow.
I still have warrants out for me. Yes, I have 19 warrants out for me right now that I'm going down and taking care of with my niece this week as I'm talking and doing all this stuff. And it's been over 2 years since I've been out on the street. But those warrants, and I owe maybe $3.5 million for panhandling fines. I know I owe an outrageous amount, hundreds and hundreds of thousands for 15 years. You know, I'm not going for 100 warrants at a time, 127. The judge said, how come they don't even bring you in at 100 warrants? Why do they let you get to 127? Oh, because they're all just traffic infractions that they shouldn't even be giving you for being on the side of the road. People walking over to you and giving you a sandwich or $1 for a flower. And you're going to arrest that guy and put him in jail because he doesn't want to get government benefits. And then spray all the camp areas with poison so they can't live anywhere, so that they can't be panhandling. And that's where I ended up.
And you don't get this amount of chemical,
this is an environmental
without
disaster.
having a special relationship with Monsanto.
Exactly. And Monsanto, Nestle, and Kevin Johnson are the tripartite, you know, that's the big runners of Sacramento. That, and they control the police like puppets. They're puppet strings. Even the sheriff are influenced.
And so when I was getting ready for the show, I looked it up. Kevin Johnson is a longtime member of ALEC. He has a lot of donations by Koch brothers industry corporations and through Super PAC and other political action committees to him.
Right, which it all goes back to the giant octopus. You follow the money tentacles. They don't stop. They keep getting bigger and bigger. Like you say, Koch, Soros, Nazi war criminals, DuPont, you know, the gas, sarin, nerve gas, selling, you know, chemicals to Syria to use, and maybe protecting Afghanistan's heroin crops, which they now produce 98% of the world's heroin, which they didn't until we moved in to protect their crops and prevent them from being sprayed.
And tell me this, with all the arrests and all the hands they're putting on people and all the stuff they're doing, what is this nightly dinner project? Because this has to be a this has to be like a very, very horrible thing if they're using that kind of manpower and resources. Can you tell us about it?
That's right. Arresting 100 people for giving away free food as a charity and asking to be let to give away free food. That's when they started arresting us, for giving away free food. And unless you pay Kevin Johnson $500, and then you can give away free food. But that's the law now. He passed a law making it, you have to give him $500 for a permit to give away free food anywhere in Sacramento, whether it's a sandwich or a bedroll or anything. You cannot. They gave us flyers over on Florin Road that we couldn't be anywhere within, doing any kind of giving and charity with bells like the Salvation Army, the bell ringers. They said that was the same as guys holding a cardboard sign asking for money. You're soliciting for charitable donations, you go to jail, whether you're Salvation Army or anything. And they were doing a crackdown and using that and saying, we're just sweeping everybody, whether it was Final Call, the Muslim paper sellers, or guys selling flowers with cardboard signs, or Salvation Army. But they let people hold cardboard signs for funerals or for, car washes for kids in high schools. They're holding cardboard signs asking for money. But if we do it, willing to wash cars, we go to jail. But those kids don't, because they have money and they're not homeless.
Well, it's
it's unequal justice.
How is
There's
this
no equal
what
justice.
guys...
If you have money, you got the law on your side. As long as you got money, you won't go to jail. That's the law. If he who has the gold makes the laws. That's why none of the bankers are in jail. None of the Wall Street people are in jail. None of the people who are poisoning everybody in Sacramento. None of the people who gave me cancer. None of the time I spent in the hospitals and all the money that bills for operating and radiation and chemo and medical drugs and everything else, and the time and all the jail time and officer time. They would have 15 cars out there, helicopters, motorcycles, to arrest one guy holding a cardboard sign. And how's the money being spent? Mental health you want? You want homeless and residential treatment? We have to arrest a guy holding a cardboard sign. It's going to take 2 hours with 15 cars, because everybody wants to come and, is that guy who's got the 100 tickets? Oh, man, let's go check that guy out. Oh, man, yeah, he got priors with the cardboard sign. Ooh, he got no felonies, but he got a lot of traffic infractions. Better spend more money on that guy and forget about. They will no longer come to your house for burglary, or if you hear somebody in your backyard, they will not come and check. They made that clear. They stated that over in the newspaper. They're no longer in the business to protect and serve. They're only for law enforcement.
So basically, if you want to do anything that has the same spirit as Thanksgiving, in order to have that right in Sacramento, and from what I've been hearing a lot of other places, you have to be willing to pay for a license that you used to not have to get a license for in order to have a legal
it's the same as making it illegal to collect rainwater. They're making it illegal to collect rainwater, illegal to grow a garden in your front yard or backyard. Yes, you can't even grow gardens. You can't even eat your own food. And then, of course, with them poisoning everything, I hesitate to eat or drink anything. All that Agent Purple is leaching into the water supplies everywhere around here. I mean, you can watch it just leach off. And it's even more active once it gets in the water. It goes right through your skin. And like I say, in 2 weeks, you got cancer. And if you're pregnant, your kid's got autism, just like that. One exposure, 10,000th of a microgram. That's all it takes.
And
just enough to get on your shoe, to see, and to wipe off with one hand, one time, is enough to give you cancer. But they say it's safe and effective. It's safe and effective.
For everybody at home to get an idea of what Russell's talking about, here's an experiment you can do with your kids at home. Is you take a piece of food coloring and you get a 2-liter bottle of soda that you empty out and fill with water, and you just put 1 drop of food coloring in there, and watch how quickly it changes all the water in that building. And that's kind of the same thing he's talking about. But instead of
and then take 1 eyedropper full of that. Yeah, but then take 1 eyedropper full of that diluted stuff. No, take 1 dropper full of that diluted stuff in the 2-liter bottle and put it in a second 2-liter bottle, and it'll still color the second 2-liter bottle. And that's still more, 100 times more than would be the amount to poison you of 1 dropper full of the second 2-liter bottle. 1 dropper full of that bottle would poison you. But it's safe and effective, as long as you don't touch it. Get it on you, inhale it, eat anything that's ever been near it.
Back to you. Say that again?
I say, it's safe and effective as long as you don't get any on you, touch it, or get anywhere near it. But like I say, the amount of dilution from what you would take out of one 2-liter bottle and put in the second 2-liter bottle full of water, you could take one eyedropper full out of the second 2-liter bottle, and it would still be 100 times more than would be needed to poison you or give you cancer if you got it on your skin. From you putting one drop in a 2-liter bottle, taking an eyedropper full out of that and putting it in a second 2-liter bottle, and taking one drop out of that bottle. That's how poisonous this stuff is. That's why they talk about it, just a few droplets raining out of the sky, and then here 20 years later, my brother is sterile and has got cancer eating him up throughout his system. I hate to say that, but it's affected him throughout his life ever since he came back from Vietnam. And it's affected my whole family's life because of that Agent Orange and now Agent Purple. It's been an ongoing concern in my life.
Not only, so we're talking about a Holocaust situation here where we got animals being wiped out, we got plants being wiped out, we have people that are dying of cancer and getting ill, and we got families that are becoming sterile to where the future of America is being cut out because we're not breeding the next generation.
No, they're breeding the next generation of slaves with smaller brains and autism so that they're more than happy to work at McDonald's for whatever money you give them. And they're willing to sweep for hours in the same position, and they won't even know that that's what they're doing. And they'll be happy to watch sports and drink Coca-Cola. Yep, it'll be the all-American world. Small brains with autism. Give them a little bit of Zika mosquitoes and some Agent Purple, and just in 5-10 years, you won't have a single normal person left. Yeah, by 2025, I'd say. Maybe 2035 at the most. There will be no normal people left in Sacramento. They've basically determined to commit genocide here because the 1% don't live here, except maybe a few people who think they are, like Kevin Johnson. And they plan on moving out, taking their money, which was ours, and leaving us to stew in the chemicals. At least that's what it sure seems like to me, and I've been here 55 years. I was born and raised in Sacramento in 1961. I watched everything happen here. I've lived here in Fair Oaks and Sacramento and Oak Park my entire life. This is not the same world we grew up in.
And, that's something I'm hearing. It's like on my radio show with my blog and everything else. That's what people are telling me, and we're looking more into this, but I want to let everybody know that our broadcast is coming to an end. Thank you for listening to Speaking Poorly with me, your host, Anthony Potter. Definitely, if you want to hear the full broadcast, go to homelessnewsnow.com or like us on Homeless News Now on Facebook. Like Russell on Facebook, and you can also hear the full version of this show online in about an hour after the show.
And I'll more than likely post a copy up on my timeline also.
Yeah.
In an hour, as soon as I get it. Mm-hmm.
So tell me this, with Jessica.
Yeah.
What's she doing with all of this information?
Well, she did not know because I was out of touch with her for almost 18 years. And I tried for 15 years to get off the street, and I never could. They kept putting me in jail every time I had an SSI appointment. It turned out I was dead legally, and I had a death certificate, not a birth certificate. But she straightened that out. It took her about 15 hours to get me off the street where I tried for 15 years. And that's all it takes is a little bit of help, a hand up. And I've been off the streets paying my rent on time, doing everything I'm supposed to, clean, sober, safe, sane, helping out politically rights, activism, doing everything with just that little bit of help, 15 hours, and I'm a normal person back in society again. So don't turn your back on a homeless person. Jessica is helping out through working inside the system, helping post laws and advocate different scenarios and repealing the oppressive laws. I bring as much of this to her attention as I can. And I know she appreciates it and appreciates all of your help too.
Well, definitely tell her that I said thank you, and I'm appreciative of her help. I'm glad that she's finding out information from me. I'm glad to help out any way I can. I'm starting to build a new coalition here, and of course I'm connecting all of those people with the Homeless Bill of Rights online and connecting all of us activists into one place so that could happen. And hopefully at some point with homelessnewsnow.com, we're able to document and all of this stuff and get the news out there to the public and be that media source that's missing so that something can be done, whether it's getting it in the right hands, it's getting people involved, it's putting something out there that's honest, that's clear, that doesn't have any corporate buy-in to where we can do it. But part of what I'm seeing is in every single one of these cities, there is somebody, if not more than one person, connected to these big organizations that are controlling things from one large center.
The Illuminati. They might call it something else, but it all goes back to that same, when you trace it back far enough, I mean, that's the convenient word for it. Whatever it might be, whether it's Democratic or Republican, it's both. It's both. It's all of it. There is no two parties. There's only one. But when I was born, in 1960, there was 750 million people. In 1970, there was 1.5. In 1980, there was 3. In 1990, there were 6. In the year 2000, there was 12 billion people. They all want the same thing that I had when I was growing up at age 18 in 1970, when there was only 1.5 billion people. So all 13 billion people want a car, a TV, a house, a girlfriend, gasoline, and food, just like I had back in those days. They all want it for them and their kids too. And everybody's willing to do the same thing that we did when we were growing up. They all want the same chance. But is there enough to go around? Population control is a necessity. Control yourselves, people.
I can tell you that I have a whole bunch of people that want to give me a TV. I don't have a TV in my house. I don't have a radio in my house. I don't
Me neither.
really
all I have is one
single
electronic item. One item. That's all I have. And I only had this one for a year. I went 15 years living under a bridge. I don't miss anything. I've only been off the streets 2 years. I've only had a phone 1 year. And it's the only thing in my entire room is this phone. But it's a TV, it's YouTube, it's a police scanner, it's a radio, it's everything. It's a computer bigger than was on the Voyager spacecraft. And I think we should be up there mining asteroids using solar cells to melt asteroids with mirrored solar cells powered by the sun that would melt the metal to build more solar asteroids. You put water inside of a metal asteroid, heat it up, and it'll blow up like a balloon. And you just fill it with air from separating water with electricity created by solar power. Boom, you've got hydrogen and oxygen for rocket fuel. We should be in outer space so that we're not scrounging around here in the dirt that's full of chemicals. Get some fresh, clean dirt in outer space and start sending down some materials that the Earth needs. We could start a new economy, a new business in outer space to the world. That's what we were supposed to do back in the 70s. And then Nixon and Apollo and NASA and the world went corrupt. From that point on, the great disaster occurred in 1979. And we've been going downhill ever since. I can see it all happen from that year on. The world became corrupt.
And I got a few friends here in Arizona, and they started they all got together as a collective, saved their money, bought some land out in rural Arizona, created organic, non-GMO eco-village, and it's
Federals
called...
are not allowing so many of those. They are actually going after those people and closing them down and raiding them for selling whole milk, among other things. Coming up with weird little federal laws. They don't want nobody to be free of their puppet strings. But continue, please.
And so what they've done is they got about 40 acres down there. All of their houses are eco-friendly and are built by hand, and they build their own musical instruments. They grow their own non-GMO foods. The
real world. That's the way the real world is supposed to be. They get their own plants.
They've started their own media company, and Monsanto doesn't know what to do with them because they keep growing and growing and growing. And they actually just about 2 years ago, when I was doing forums, I was doing a lot of forums on homelessness, and I was running Safe Park, and I was doing a lot of stuff. They were paying attention. They started a new nonprofit that's about getting the homeless off the street and teaching them sustainable agricultural skills, teaching them how to make instruments out of the products that they grow.
That's what I was doing here in Sacramento for 2.5 years on the side of the freeway, planting potatoes, onions, and all other types of fruit, vegetables that I collected from scavenging plant cuttings. And I was growing everything. I mean, I was making my own wine. I grew all of my own food sustainable for 1 year out of 2.5 years. I didn't have to buy anything from the store, ever. That was so nice. And eating fresh fruit and vegetables from the ground, until they decided that was not going to be allowed no more, because I was teaching all the other homeless people how to do it too, and they started cleaning up, and I started a movement of cleaning up and planting flowers, and it made people were calling Caltrans and saying, how come you guys can't do a good a job on the side of the road as these homeless people can? And that's what caused the problem. They started getting phone calls about why couldn't they do their jobs right, and that made them afraid of losing their jobs, so they came out to destroy what we had so they couldn't be compared to us. And that's what Monsanto is freaking out about your people about too. Same thing. If people see what they're doing, they're going to freak out, and everybody's going to be free.
And tell me this, for our listeners that aren't from California, what's Caltrans?
California Department of Transportation, the ones who are supposed to be in charge of repairing the roads, not policing people who are standing on the side of the road, not policing who's sitting or living or walking on the sides of the roads or underneath bridges or anything. They're supposed to be in charge of repairing roads and bridges. Instead, they've taken it as a policy of chase the homeless down, take all of their property, destroy it all, and repeatedly hunt them down wherever they move to until you have destroyed them so many times they can't no longer live there. And then poison the whole area so that even if they do come back, they'll die.
So, tell me this. If there is 3 people that
That's
are...
not their job, though.
If there's 3 people that our callers can call and get a hold of to put pressure on people to change what's going on, what 3 people would you want them to contact?
Well, Kevin Johnson and the city council are the main people. That or the head of Caltrans. That would be the three main people, groups, organizations I can think of. That or the Environmental Protection Agency, because I don't believe anybody's got any permits for putting several million tons of dioxin in Sacramento all over the sides of the roads where everybody's breathing it, inhaling it, the dust and particles. I mean, I saw a study saying that this area of the road right here, this freeway intersection where this is happening, is the most polluted in California with the most particles per inch or whatever of the entire California. Nowhere else is as polluted as this place with as many different toxic chemicals as right here at Florin and Franklin off of the 12th and 99 downtown Sacramento, South 99 and 12th Street to Florin Road and 99. But from that point on, from Florin Road and Franklin at 99 and that part of the freeway from Elk Grove into Sacramento has been so heavily doused with Agent Purple dioxin for the last several years that there is nothing living there, as you can see by looking at the pictures on this radio show. You see how that used to all be a green jungle that you could not see 2 foot into, and now all you see is bare dirt road.
And I can tell our listeners
the noise,
that...
there's no noise abatement. The noise abatement, that's what they destroyed all chance of noise abatement and oxygen renewal. They destroyed all the plants that were providing any clean air buffer between the freeway and the neighborhoods. They cut all that down and poisoned it all to get rid of us. So there's no buffers. The lead, asphalt, and pollution from the freeway is coming. All the gas fumes are coming right over the sound walls, and so is the sound right into the people's homes, carrying the Agent Purple, the asphalt, the lead, the gas, right into the home. All up and down Sacramento now because they destroyed all of the shrubbery and put Agent Purple instead. No more oxygen, no more food. I thought this was supposed to be the city of trees, Green City, Sacramento, tree-friendly, shrubbery-friendly, plant-friendly. The people might be, but the government is not. The government is anti-shrubbery, anti-people, anti-citizens, anti-gardens, anti-growth, anti-civilians. Unless you're wearing a uniform, a badge, or you got a suit on, you're considered undesirable and expendable, and preferably out of sight, out of mind, in jail or in the ground dead. They were happy to see me go with a tumor the size of a lemon growing out of my neck after 2 weeks and have to go to the hospital because I was bleeding out on the side of the freeway, and I couldn't get any medical help because I was considered dead. When I got that cancer, that was just by sheer luck. I got cancer, went to the hospital and saw my niece's name in the Sacramento News and Review and called her up after 18 years. And she helped me from that point on to help me straighten my life out. Because the city of Sacramento would not help me in any way, shape, or form after 15 years of trying. They stopped me at every turn and every time I tried anything. And that's why we're trying to change the law so that you can't turn traffic infractions by grouping a bunch of them together and saying, oh, now they equal a misdemeanor or a felony. 10 traffic infractions are still the same infraction. You spit on the sidewalk 10 times, it's still, the sidewalk dries up and doesn't hurt the sidewalk. That's a traffic infraction. And, 1,000 of them should not be considered $3.5 million worth of fines and who knows how many years in prison or jail for panhandling and illegal sleeping on the side of the freeway. That's pretty much all I can say.
A sunset, like any great melting, heats a vibrant fire that blends wounded parts together in a magic show that transforms, reminds you of a past where the sunrise woke your senses with rays and flares. You realize In Between is a powerful social theater production that sent you through a powerful roller coaster journey, packed with friends, family, and strangers not so strange anymore. There, knowing, soon comes the answers from above, an open sky of wisdom of those who came before, those that cheered you on from the future, a moon that lights your eyes, knowing a rock is near by keeping you company. Then a falling star, a dream worth claiming, appreciating and making your own. Like anything, it's gone that fast, but you know you got it, and the celebration just might be a slumber away. Maybe, just maybe, the people dancing in your mind aren't that far away.